Om Shanti.
Hello, Om Shanti. Good evening.
Om Shanti.
So, hope everyone is well. It's been a while since I've been online. I think I just got back from India last week. And so it's good to be back with you this evening and hope everyone's keeping well. I like that meditation because it's very much in alignment with what we're talking about today. And in case you didn't know, tonight's topic is when life speeds up, how do I slow down within? Now, I often used to say that I need bucketfuls of patience. I think I'm getting it right, but just feeling the value that this has. So maybe just take a moment for yourself and see, as you were engaging with that meditation, did you find internally little slowing down, little bit of rest, maybe the thoughts even quieten down a little bit? Just do an internal audit. And so I think it was last week, probably last week or earlier in the weekend, I was chatting to someone and they were just saying how we know what's important, we know what we need to do, but we just don't take the time to do it. And then when we do it, we realize, this is what I need. I think we all can relate and resonate with that. And so as we go through today's topic and we're going to explore it, just really make it personal and just think of, okay, what's my inner environment like, what are the things that pulls me, and I will do some reflective prompts just to do an inner checking, because as I begin to slow down, it has a knock-on effect on many things, which we'll look at as well as we move forward. As I was thinking about this topic today earlier, an image came to mind. When you're standing on a train platform and you watch the train go by, and when the train slows down, it's easier to see the people inside, the colors, the form, whatever it is. But if that train is whizzing by, then what happens? It just becomes like a blur, especially now these speed trains which you get abroad. Here we get, I think the Gautrain maybe is the fastest. I don't know if anyone's been. I'm sure those in Gauteng have been on the Gautrain. I haven't yet, but there are some trains that are fast, and it just goes. You can barely catch your breath and see what's happening, and it's gone. And sometimes I think our thoughts are like that. It's like we're on an express train, and as our thoughts are running through, there isn't clarity. It's a little bit blurred, if I can put it like that. Meaning it's like, I know there's lots of things happening, but I can't quite identify or put my finger on, hey, what really is happening? And so some of the things that create speed in our mind, if I can put it like that, is that one, we have a habit. We have a habit of overthinking, thinking too much about lots of things, and most of them is useless things if you think about it. But I say it's a habit because one of the things about a habit is I understand I created it due to a need. And secondly, because I created it, I also have the ability to change it or destroy it. And so what that does, it just helps me to see that I don't have to be at the mercy of what's happening in my mind, but I can take the reins of my thoughts back into my life. And so, what is it that I'm thinking about? What is it that I'm engaging my mind, my time, my energy in? And see how this creates anxiety sometimes, tension, worry, fear, just feeling overwhelmed sometimes creates a lot of discomfort internally. So, one thing I said, thinking a lot of thoughts, overthinking. The other thing is, I keep replaying certain scenarios, conversations, experiences in my mind. And so, in doing so, I'm stuck in an old pattern, in an old script that keeps going. Again, this is linked to a habit, and habits are formed because we're at a point where we need something, and so we develop a certain tendency to try and support us. Sometimes I feel this process of overthinking has become a form of distraction. And I tell you why I say that. When you make your mind quiet, then you begin to see things in yourself. And sometimes the things that we see are not so pleasant. I'll realize, oops, I have this tendency, or I have this kind of negative thought, or this is the perception I hold about something or myself. And so, in order to avoid seeing the not so good things, we can keep ourselves busy. We do this physically as well. Think about how much time do you really spend quietly with yourself in the course of a day, without your fingers reaching out for your phone and your gadgets, or sometimes just doing something because I don't feel comfortable just sitting. I was on a radio interview the other day, and the presenter was just asking, how do you give yourself time to rest without feeling guilty or irresponsible? And I think it's something that many of us perhaps do wrestle with at times. And it's because we feel, if I'm not doing anything, I'm unproductive. And so even if there's nothing to do, we'll find things to do. And if I'm doing something, means I'm thinking about things further as well. And so just beginning to see for myself, what are the things that I engage in that are really a form of distraction, which does generate extra thoughts and thinking. The other thing that creates a lot of things here is information overload. And today we bombarded by everything in a second from so many different platforms. And now we don't even know what's real and what's not real, so this fake news. So everything comes, we take it in, we play with it in our mind, we get exhausted, and then we wonder why we're tired and why we feel so stressed and rushed internally. So important to see what's happening inside, because then I can begin to make the shifts that I need to come back to that place of patience, of calm, of slowing down. Think of your mind or your internal space as on your phone you have many apps. Sometimes people have like lots of apps, like you keep scrolling and it's full of apps. Because it makes life easier, right? You press a button and whatever it is that you want is easily accessible. Now, these apps are all running in the background all the time. You don't see it, but they are running. And so whatever I plug into, that's the app that I've opened in that moment. So think about, which apps am I constantly opening and engaging with? On my phone, yes, I can check that as well. But internally, what's the thought? What's the trigger? What's the feeling? What's the perception? What's the fear? Anything at all that creates a feeling of anxiety, tension, just feeling busy also internally. Now, we were talking about how there's so much happening in the surface of my mind with all my thoughts. And so we want to get to a place where all of that has become a little quiet. We can't stop thinking. If you've tried to stop thinking, you realize it doesn't quite work. Maybe for a moment or two, you might go blank, but the thoughts are always there. And so it's really about not trying to stop the process of thoughts, but rather learning to think less and learning to have moments of pause between my thoughts, which sounds like a strange process. How do I create pause between my thoughts? It's something that I practice, and with time I can do it. And one of the practices that supports this habit or this process is obviously meditation, because that's what we do here as well. And it's about creating a very nurturing, loving, beautiful relationship with my mind. One that holds patience, one that holds benevolence, that holds a feeling of, I want to sustain and support my inner space and my inner environment. And so for me to do that, I need to learn to go beyond or below the noise on the surface. Now, if you think of an ocean, on the surface of the ocean, there's a lot of movement. You know, the waves are choppy, and it can be quite disruptive. But they say the deeper you go into the ocean, the more quiet it becomes. Those that maybe dive, you might be able to relate to this. And so, because on the bottom is all the things that are being affected. So the wind affects it, the sun, things that land on the water, all of these things. But at the bottom of the ocean, the only thing that's moving is really, okay, fish, life, I guess, but it's the current that's creating that movement. And so going deep within is about taking my attention and my awareness away from all the things I'm plugging into. So think of your apps in your mind, all the things you plug into. Can I unplug from those, even for a short time? Because yes, we have to think, we have to engage, but can I create certain boundaries for myself whereby during certain times I choose to unplug from that? And when I unplug, what I'm telling myself is, I'm not going to allow myself to be influenced by what's being bombarded sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes bombarded into my inner space and my inner environment. And so stillness and silence and patience and quiet sometimes might seem like such a difficult thing to come to terms with. And sometimes we might perceive these to be as very passive. And so when there's passiveness, nothing's going to happen. That's what we might think or believe, and we can't just sit and wait for things to happen. But the patience that I'm talking about isn't a passive waiting, but it's an active act and attitude that I cultivate of not allowing myself to be disturbed internally. So it's not that I'm not doing anything, it's not that I'm not engaging, fulfilling my responsibilities, taking care of the things I have to do in my day-to-day life, but it's about choosing how I want to do it. And when I begin to see that these energies, these qualities are really a part of my nature, they intrinsically part of me, I don't see it as something that I have to get from outside, but it rather becomes something that I can nurture and tap into, that I already hold. So take a moment and just think, if you think that you are an impatient person. We're using patience today. Let's just carry on with this. If you tell yourself, I'm so impatient, I can't wait, I'm always rushing. Just tell yourself this. What's the feelings? What's the thought? What's the energy that's going to be creating? Immediately, it will hypen. There's no word like that. It will make you feel hyped up, spinning thoughts. You'll start to move faster, get a bit confused and uncertain just by creating that one thought and then believing that that's how you are. Now, in the same moment, if you just tell yourself, hey, stop for a moment, actually, I am a patient soul. Deep within me lies a reservoir of peace. And I never lose this. This is always a part of me. Can I try and tap into that? And as I do that, it's like I'm directing my thoughts to something more sustainable, to something positive, to something powerful. And so as I begin to steer my mind in the direction that I want it to go to, I move away from what I don't want. So instead of saying, I'm so impatient, okay, great, maybe I am impatient in this moment, that's fine as well. But I can be patient in the next moment. So I don't fight with trying to sort out my impatience, but I rather focus on becoming, not even becoming patient, but tapping into the energy that I am, that is already peaceful and patience. And so it's not about creating something out of nothing and trying to figure out. It's just about knowing where to go to access it. So, if you need to buy certain furniture and that, you're not going to go to a grocery store because it's futile. You're not going to find what you're looking for if you're going to the wrong place. So if you want peace, quiet, patience, and you decide to go to someone else, hoping that they'll be able to give it to you, you're not going to get it. So knowing where to go for what I need is important, because without that, you're going to spend so much time, energy, maybe money also, I don't know, but resources. And you won't feel that sense of attainment, of receiving something. And when we don't experience what we're putting energy into, we become a little bit disheartened. We become a little bit disappointed almost, and then we give up. When I was in India now, one of the classes that we had by Brother Charlie. So he's been with the organization for over 50 years now, and very lovely. So, but the topic he was exploring was, what is the sustenance that we require at this time? And it was really in response to, look, the world has sped up so much and there's so many things to do. And how do I take care of myself? How do I build my own capacity? And one of the things he said, and he was sharing that he had asked this from one of our other senior teachers in India, that what is it that I need to do? And this was like 30 years, 40 years before, and the answer is still the same. And the response he got from that one, and he shared with us, is he said, every single day, create new experiences for yourself. When you're in meditation, or even just with your thinking process, or have realization, something that generates newness. Because he said, as you create new experience is something that cannot be taken away from you. It becomes something that becomes imprinted and a part of your being. And a lot of how we live our life, we draw from our past experiences, whether it's good or not so good. We still draw from what's there. So it's like my experiences are like a pool of resources. So what kind of experiences am I drawing from. And I will only be able to draw the quality of experiences based on what's there already. So his whole thing was, as I begin to generate new experiences, then I'm improving my pool from which I can draw from, so that at times when I need to, I know where to go to. I've tasted it, I've felt it, I've experienced it, and so it gives me some kind of footing that I can work from. And so, how do I create new experiences in meditation? It's not just about thinking good things, wonderful things, that's important. But can I take one thought or one idea related to who I am as a spiritual being, something related to my identity as a soul? Can I bring that to the forefront of my mind? And then give myself the opportunity to experience what does that feel like for me. Not just think about it. It's important to think, to understand, but sometimes we go into analysis too much. They say analysis leads to paralysis. It's good to analyze, but there comes a point when I have to stop that as well. There comes a point when I've analyzed enough, I know now, so can I be it? Can I experience it? But again, sometimes we keep on going because we're distracting ourselves as well. So thinking deeper, reflecting, but more so becoming quiet and allowing myself to tap into the wisdom that I am, the peace, the power, the purity, the love that I hold within myself. So, finding new things within your life, even, doing something that I wouldn't ordinarily do. And when I'm saying do, I don't necessarily mean physically, but within my mind, can I shift maybe a certain thought pattern that I identify that's not very good? Like maybe I keep talking about one or two people all the time. Just check, why do I keep doing that? Is it necessary? Can I shift out of that? And so that's the new thing that I'm beginning to create. So finding newness and creating new experiences is a lovely way to reaffirm for myself what I'm all about and what's possible that I hold within the self. Let's just take a moment now to become quiet and still, and let's see if we can tap into that inner energy of quiet stillness. So I'm going to invite you now to just sit comfortably. And if you have anything in your arms or hands, just put them aside for now. Ensure you're sitting comfortably, your back upright, and you're alert, fully present and aware of just this moment. And I just take a deep breath in, breathing in peace and patience and stillness. And as I breathe out, I just let go and relax. Breathing in peace, patience, stillness. Feel that energy move through your entire body, infusing every cell, every muscle, every organ with that quiet energy. And just feel your body come to a place of complete rest, absolutely relaxed and at ease. And so every breath in, I'm breathing in peace and patience, just allowing that energy to move through my entire being and even into my mind. Just imagine that patience and peace is like a still lake, deep, quiet, holding wisdom. And I step into this awareness, allowing myself to be fully immersed in just that quiet, still, full space. My mind is completely still, and I'm just holding pure awareness of who I am as a spiritual being of light, a soul. I'm radiating peace, stillness, as I hold patience, quietness within. I am fully at rest, re-energizing myself, coming back to that place of what matters and what it is that I value. And so let's just take a moment to hold this, feeling that energy and the presence of my being. And then very gently, when I feel I'm ready, then let me just come back into the present moment and in the awareness of where you might be seated. Thank you. Okay, so I'm sure something happened, even if a little bit. I know the mind can be busy, especially if you've just come from work and things of the day might be playing in your mind. But I'm sure even if it's a few seconds, you are able to catch pockets of that quiet stillness. And so just beginning to see it's not a difficult process. It just requires time that I commit for myself. And like I said, it's just a few minutes that I need. And so anytime in the day, you can take a moment of pause. We have something called Just a Minute. If you go onto a website, we have 1 minute meditation commentary. So it's something that just helps you to pause for the moment throughout the day, to come back to that place of quiet stillness and creating space within your mind in that way. Now, so one of the things is, yes, the quantity of thoughts and what we hold, definitely how much we hold does impact. But the other thing I want to talk about is for how long we hold things. And I want to share a little story or an analogy. And just think about it. If you had to hold a glass of water, so a glass filled with water, and if I ask you to hold it for, let's say, 30 seconds, anything would happen? Would be easy, right? You can hold it for 30 seconds. So then I say, okay, can you hold it for 5 minutes? And so you probably would be able to hold it for 5 minutes, this glass of water. But if I had to say, okay, now hold it for 1 hour, do you think it would be just as easy? Probably not, right? So the glass is the same. The volume of water is the same. Nothing's changed. But what changed was the time which I held on to it. And so the longer I hold on to something, the more painful it becomes. Your arm muscles will be sore, they will become weak after a while. Maybe your hand will start shaking. I don't know. You don't have to try it out, but I'm sure you can imagine what it would be like. And so this is also an important aspect. And again, it's about what's the thoughts, the beliefs, the attitudes my past stuff that I'm still holding on to. It might be a small thing that might not be so impactful. I might just brush it aside. But if I keep holding on to it, it becomes heavy, it becomes a burden. And this is also what creates that feeling of speeding, but heaviness that comes as a result of that. So the lesson here is I need to learn to put the glass down. I don't have to hold it by myself. And actually, if I ask myself, why am I holding it? Is there a purpose to holding it? Obviously not the glass, but the things that I'm holding onto inside. And when I realize something is obsolete and useless, there's a greater ability to let go of it. But unless I take time to see what's happening and understand what's the impact of what I'm holding on to, I'll just keep on. And sometimes, again, it's something that perhaps we've believed or learn to believe that life is not easy. You have to struggle to get anywhere. I need to experience pain and discomfort and difficulty because that's the only way that I can grow. And there is some truth in that. Life comes to challenge us, to teach us, to make us grow. But it's not to suffer. So there's a difference between pain and growth that comes from that pain. Suffering is something that I do because I keep the pain alive. The moment has passed, I've moved away from whatever it is, yet I'm still holding on to the pain and the discomfort. And so it's that kind of thing that I need to let go of because it's that's creating the heaviness internally. And so sometimes when we sit in meditation, we'll find thoughts come up, images play in my mind, memories come up from way back maybe. And then I can think, hey, what's happening here? It's supposed to be peaceful and calm and seeing some beautiful images of mountains and rivers and lakes, but this is not pleasant at all. It's a good thing they come up because it's showing me what it is that I need to let go of and not keep holding on to. So can I take the gift of what's being offered in that moment of quiet stillness, of clarity, so I can move out of that into something beautiful and powerful? So let's just now look at, so how is it that I can slow down? One thing is learning to think less. And how do funny thing to say, isn't it? How do I think less? When my energy is externally focused, I have a thought and opinion about everything and everyone. So one of the ways in which I begin to slow down my thinking and my internal processes is that I start to become introspective or introverted. And introversion, introspective, all it means is I'm shifting my focus from external to internal. That's all it is. I'm not withdrawing, I'm not isolating, I'm not pushing things aside. I'm just choosing to focus inwards. I often think there's so much inside that's there. I don't need more things from the external. Why do I want to bring in more things when there's so much to work with inside? So becoming introspective, becoming introverted, beginning to observe what is the train of thoughts, what is it that's happening internally. And then the second thing that I can do is just learn to pause for a moment before I react, before I respond. So sometimes it's like ping pong. We play, someone says and we say, and they say and we say. Or even if we just think or feel, we might not necessarily say, but it's like all the time like this, up, down, up. Oh, you can see my finger going one to the other, but it's like playing ping pong. And so when I just take a moment of a breath, even if it's just a breath, before I respond. It gives me that moment of just realigning my inner space, so that how I respond will hopefully be more beneficial and supportive and good, rather than just being triggered by something and reacting in that way. Again, it takes practice. Sometimes, you might want to create certain words or catchphrases that can help you. So for myself, sometimes I just remind myself, Nita, just breathe deeply. And I take a few deep breaths. Not necessarily when I'm engaging, but sometimes just internally there feels a lot. I'll just stop whatever it is and take a moment to just breathe deeply. But the other thing that I find, and it's been something I've been doing more recently, perhaps the past few months, is really trying to connect with myself as a soul, not as a concept of I'm a soul, I'm light, I'm peace, I'm power, not just as a mantra, but really, in the moment when I remind myself or I become aware of myself as I'm a pure point of spiritual light energy, and I just stabilize in that awareness, it's been amazing how, in a short space of time, everything else disappears. The things that created discomfort, overthinking, the feelings, the reactions, the internal upheaval, within a short space of time, all of it just becomes like merged, and they don't hold that power over me. So this is something I've been finding has been more effective for me than just creating positive thoughts and good thoughts. But really, when I come into soul consciousness, I come into my truth, and anything that is contrary to that has no place. So feeling bad about myself, overthinking, feeling anxious, stressed, angry, it cannot coexist when I'm centered in my authentic true self. So this is just another thing that you might be able to practice. And so find a catchphrase, find something that can diffuse that moment for you, whatever it is that might be. And then the key is throughout the day to keep reminding yourself of pausing. And it's about integrating it into your life. So it's not that I need to find time separately, but every time I take a sip of water, every time I go to the bathroom, every time I finish a phone call, perhaps, can I just pause for a moment? And it doesn't have to be a minute, but even 10, 15 seconds. And we can't be so busy that we don't have 10, 15 seconds. And you'll find when you do this, it just keeps bringing you back to center. And when I'm in my center, there's clarity, there's decisiveness, there's a sense of purpose. My energy is not wasted. I'm focused, I'm productive, I'm more accurate in what I do. I know when I'm tired, physically and mentally, and how do I know I'm tired? Yes, I know, but sometimes I won't stop because, like I said, we keep going. But I start to hurt myself. So I will trip, stub my toe, I'll drop something. If I'm cooking, I'll probably get burned or cut. So when I get to that stage, I know, uh-oh, you've gone too far off and you haven't been paying attention to keeping yourself in the right space. So beginning to identify what are the signs that tell me I'm too fast and I need to slow down. What are the signals that are coming to me, or am I so oblivious that I don't even take note? Or sometimes I do take note, but I just brush them aside. And so it's important to take care of these small things so that it doesn't manifest into something that becomes unmanageable and potential for it to be quite volatile at some point. So these are some thoughts around how is it that I can slow down. So it's not so much about the external wanting that to go slower, because our day is still 24 hours in a day. That hasn't changed. just like the glass of water hasn't changed. What's changed is my internal processes. As I speed up, that energy then is reflected back at me, and it feels like things are speeding up. So if I want to slow down, things to slow down, I will slow down my thought process and how I respond. But that 24 hours will still be there, but I will feel like I have more time to do the things that I need to. And so automatically I won't feel rushed. I won't feel I'm chasing after time, but rather I'm the master of time, and I can do everything that I need to, because internally I'm holding the right space. I've put the glass down of things that create a lot of movement internally. So let's do one little reflection. It's just like a prompt, a question perhaps, for you to think about, and then something you can take for yourself going forward. Just take a moment and turn within and think for yourself. And whatever comes to mind first is probably the right thing for you. What speeds up my mind the most? What is it that creates lots of thoughts in my mind? So just take a moment to think about this for a minute. There might be a few things, but try and narrow it down to one or two. What creates extra thoughts and speed in my mind? Maybe something I see, something from my past, a person maybe. Okay, so once you've identified that, now think about what one pause could I introduce tomorrow? Let's say from today. Let's not wait for tomorrow. What one pause could I introduce from today onwards that can help to just diffuse the speed in my mind? And it doesn't have to be anything complicated. It can be very simple. In fact, the simpler, the better, because then you can remember it and it's easy to act on it. What one pause can I introduce from today onwards that can help to diffuse that thought pattern that speeds up in my mind? And if you want to, you can create a mental image that just helps you to go to when you find your mind is racing. So it could be a scene in nature, a symbol, perhaps a word if you want to, also something abstract, anything that you can resonate with. And then throughout the day, just bring this into your mind, your awareness, and allow that to bring you back to that place of quiet stillness and patience and peace. Okay, so Om Shanti, those were some thoughts that I wanted to share. Just remember that life is going to seem to be faster, but it's not that I'm powerless in that, that within each of us lies a quiet reservoir, a quiet center that never rushes. And it's about tapping into that quiet center and allowing that to just be something that begins to occupy my inner space and my world. Okay, so I'm just going to open up if there is any questions from anyone or comments or thoughts. Please feel free to unmute. We've got a few minutes. Hopefully it was helpful, and some little tips and tools you might have got. Anything? No? Okay, if not, then perhaps we can just end off with a short little a little meditation, and just tapping into who I am as that soul. Okay, so I will put on a slide, and then after the meditation, I'll just hold that slide for a few moments so you can just settle into that space. So I will take leave now and wish you well over the weekend, and we'll be back next Thursday. So enjoy this meditation as you move into your weekend. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you.
Take a moment now to step away from the world. Step away from memories, to-do lists, even your history, and enter a space of sacred silence. Close your eyes now and just feel that silence permeate your being. You are not this body of flesh and bone and vessels, but this silent, sacred energy that is the soul. Allow yourself to sink deeper as you enter a deep, deep stillness that massages your being. And now gently open your eyes halfway and notice how you are still in this sacred space, but it's as if you're looking out the windows of the eye, looking out from deep inside the body. You can see your cheeks, your legs, the body that surrounds you. You can see the scene in front of you as you peer from this deep space of silence and observe the physical world. It's as if you are in the world of matter, watching it, but from a deep sanctuary of silence inside. And from this space of the soul, as you see, there's no need to label or think about what you see. No need to figure out what you are seeing. You just observe. You notice the beauty in front of you, but you stay rooted to that deep silence beyond the sound of even a thought. No need to have a commentary. It's as if you are in the world of matter and form and color and sights and sounds, but untouched by it. You are deep inside in the sanctuary of silence. Now imagine that you let go of the world of matter. You rise above the world of sights and sounds. You rise above gravity. And you feel yourself as the soul without a body. Silent. weightless, full of vitality and energy. You see and feel yourself as just pure light. Completely free and high above the world. Expansive, full of energy. This is the real you, the soul that exists beyond the costume of the body, beyond the world of matter. Savor this feeling of weightlessness and silence. And then, having tasted the experience of just being pure light beyond the world, re-enter it with a new perspective. Re-enter it refreshed, silenced, renewed. And come back to that same space, and though you see the world around you, the sights and sounds around you, notice how you feel absorbed in the silence of your being. In the world of matter, but not made of it. In the world of matter, but untouched by it. Take a walk back now, back to your daily life, back to the roles you play on a daily basis, and know that by entering this silence regularly, you renew your spirit.